Helen Farmer with you. It is 4 minutes past 3, this last hour of the show. We've got not one but two amazing educators joining us, talking about the latest news, but also about what our kids learn outside of the classroom too. So what was it for you? Was there a school trip that stood out? Was there a project that made you who you are today? Let us know on the usual numbers.
This is Eye on Education on Dubai Eye 103.8.
Sponsored by Horizon English School Town Square, a new British curriculum school opening in August 2027. Built on over 35 years of educational excellence, where children are inspired to grow with confidence, curiosity and happiness.
Now, listen, there's no getting away from it. Most parents want their children to leave school with some good grades, but what about the skills that don't come with an exam certificate? You know, confidence, resilience, big word at the minute, leadership, problem solving, and knowing how to cope. Not if things don't go to plan, when they don't go to plan. Schools are increasingly looking beyond the classroom and helping students prepare for the real world. Nicholas Radbourne is with us today, Deputy Head of the Whole School at RGS, to explain why experiences like expeditions and service projects and student leadership can be just as valuable as what they're taught at the desk. Nicholas, it's lovely to have you in the studio, and thank you for making the time. I know the end of term is, there's a lot going on right now.
It's very busy, but it's very exciting.
Productions
but we're back
testing.
in. I think that's the most exciting thing for us.
Let's cling to that. And then, of course, we have the headline. So before we talk grades and what you have experienced yourself in terms of experiential learning and what's happening. But just yesterday, we did get that news that KHD inspections are returning from the next academic year. Now, for parents who might not be familiar with that process, what do the inspections actually involve? And I guess more importantly, what are they designed to achieve?
Okay. I mean, what they involve, they'll come into school. There's kind of, I think that they're talking about two kind of inspections. One, they'll give you very little notice and they'll come in, they'll pop in and see you. The second one, they'll give you a bit more notice and it'll be a longer inspection. I think when they do come in, they're just coming in to see what's going on in the school. And it's always very supportive. And you always feel like, actually, they're coming to see how well you're doing and how you can improve. And for us, it's a great opportunity. It's a great opportunity to, I hate to use, it's kind of showing off. It's a
showcasing.
This is why we teach.
Yeah, we've got lots to be proud of.
We can show you, actually, we're good teachers. We want to show off that, that skill. It also gives us a chance to show how good the school is and how well the pupils are doing. Because I think for them, it's quite a nice experience as well. It's quite a nice opportunity because they get to share with the inspectors how they're getting on. They'll talk to the inspectors about what their learning's like. So all those sort of things it's a real mixture of, it's great for the school to actually find out how we're getting on, but it's good for the children actually to share how they're doing.
I think you've touched on something really interesting there, which is it's not an us and them, it's very much collaborative about, communication.
Hugely, yeah.
And then in terms of, I guess from, a listener point of view as parents, how we interpret the KHD reports, because I see so many Facebook posts, Nicholas, about, we're moving to Dubai, we only want to go to outstanding schools, or, we've been offered this school and that school, this one's very good, this one's outstanding, and I feel like, how does it inform how a parent chooses the best, quote unquote, school for their kids?
I think the other bit about the inspection, they do talk to the parents. So the parents are very much part of that process. So I think that's quite important. So for us, I mean, if you're looking at a school, the inspection's really important. You can tell a lot about the school, about how the inspection's gone on, but it does depend where the school is, how long the school's been open. There's lots of other bits you've got to look at, but actually the most important thing about a school is how you feel about it when you go into it. So
big picture.
Yes, there's lots of bits to pull in,
and this is the thing.
Grade is just one of them.
I think that's absolutely true. It's part of that picture, and for some parents it will be the most significant part of the picture, and for others it might say they're only at this level, but they're really strong on this subject, or we love the inclusion department, or we know parents there, and when we walked around, we're just saying it's not as black and white as it might feel.
I always feel it's about culture. If you walk into the school and you can feel the culture of the school and actually it fits with your child, that's the most important thing.
And that very much ties into what we're talking today, which is around kind of values of schools, about preparing kids for the next step once they, get out with a uniform and get to choose what they want to wear and what they want to do. Going back to your own school days, Nicholas Radbourne, was there an experience kind of outside the classroom that you think maybe shaped who you are today? Was there a school trip that stands out, or a project, or even, meeting someone that has kind of put you on your way?
Yeah, there were a couple of opportunities. I think I was thinking about this on the way over. We got an opportunity when I was, I think I was about 10 or 11, to go sailing on the south coast, and you had to go away for the weekend. I think I was booked in to go in March. It was absolutely freezing.
Of course it was.
And it was one of those things I wasn't sure about. I was a bit nervous. I was the only one who I knew was going. So for me, it was putting myself out there a little bit. But what was fantastic was by the end of that weekend, I had all this group of new friends. I'd learned these new skills. I felt much more confident about myself, and I wanted to go back. I want to do this again. And I did. And actually, I carried on doing that for another 9 years, and became an instructor, and then led other children. So that whole experience and the chance to actually become a leader in those that opportunity, it was fantastic.
It's worth the soggy sandwiches and the wet weather.
Yes,
but it's
it was
interesting
cold.
that I think of sailing actually as a really interesting example, because I sailed a bit as a teenager in the Lake District. Guarantee it was colder than the South Coast. But when you're thinking about something like an activity like that, and it might be orienteering, it might even just be going on some kind of residential trip for the first time as a child, as a 10-year-old, for example. It's like it's about self-reliance, about, what am I going to learn about myself? And that might be quite uncomfortable. But, organisation, personal admin. You're saying there about coming out of those 2 days with skills that you wouldn't have been able to name what you needed to do in order to successfully skip a dinghy, a week before. Yeah. And putting a bit of pep in your step and going, this is now part of my personality, and I've got a hobby, and it kind of builds you out as a whole person, I suppose, in some ways. And we're talking about experiential learning, which I find quite a confusing term. But what do you think that actually does mean in practice, and why is it an increasingly important part of education?
It's that opportunity to learn through experience, to learn through applying those skills you learn in the classroom or wherever, and actually putting them into a practical situation. I think that's one of the easiest ways of talking about it. I mean, I'm sure at some point you did a work experience.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, and some of us had a great experience, some of us did. But what you did do was you used those skills you'd learned in school, and actually, if you had a good work experience, you got the chance to apply those skills and actually do them.
And if you had a bad one, you go, that's something I never want to do again, and that's also useful information.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not doing that job. But you have that experience. But and giving the children as many opportunities to find out what that is that they either don't like, which is just important about what they do like. Yeah. But unless you give them those experiences, they'll never know. And then it's a tough job when they're 22 and they're going, what am I going to do?
I think it's also really important for kids that don't fit into some kind of academic brackets, that they've got strengths and passions that are much more applicable to the real world, because that's a common complaint we hear from a lot of kids. It's like this idea of, when am I going to use this in real life? So learning outside the classroom kind of helps answer that question. And sometimes it is when things go wrong. And I wanted to ask you about things like, I remember going orienteering and getting properly lost, really the kind of panicked lost. Yep. You have Duke of Edinburgh
we do.
At RGS. Tell us a little bit about expeditions and about even, I guess it would count as a qualification. What does it bring for the kids?
It gives a massive amount of things. I mean, it's the whole build up towards it anyway. They have to go and do other things, not just the expedition, which is the really exciting bit, but they have to learn a new skill. They have to do some charity work on kind of supporting the local community. So they've got to put themselves out there and actually give up the time to do it, which again is that self-reliance. It's that ability to actually do it themselves, not have mummy and daddy driving them to it. They've got to go and do it. They've got to show they've done it as well. And I think that's the crucial bit.
I think I keep on thinking about those kind of the Girl Guide cookies, and I know there's been initiatives in some schools around selling snacks, and I've seen such great confidence being built in my kids of getting their sales patter down, of taking the nose, on the chin, and maybe tweaking how they might sell something next time. Or, as you're saying, for something like charity work, how to draft an email and ask something in an appropriate, professional, respectful way, and then conducting yourself once you're through the door.
Yeah.
It is quite an uncomfortable thing to do, but there's so much growth on the other side of that. And I think for parents, we worry about getting the balance right. We think about extracurriculars and things like that, maybe taking the focus off academic achievement. How do you think they actually do support learning and even exam success?
Hugely. It's a massive... We try and create those opportunities. We have a massive kind of expedition program, we call it, which are our trips, which starts in FS and works all the way through and then goes to residentials, and you go all the way up to
why do they go?
10.
I want to know where they go in FS.
They go to it's really lovely things, whether it's just going to
I've seen kids in the supermarket,
or something like that. But there's lots of little places they'll go to. Yeah, the supermarket or the mosque, which is a lovely place to visit, which is just around the corner from the school. So there's lots of opportunities for them to do that, and putting those opportunities in place. It's interesting with what you were just talking about, children having the opportunity to make those sales pitches. So Friday, we've got a big day tomorrow, actually. We've got the whole school in senior doing lots of different activities around entrepreneurism. So our year 7 and 8s are designing pizzas, but it's not just designing the pizza. They've got to work out how much the cost of the ingredients. They've got to work out the packaging. They've got to do the design. It's just a massive thing. And then they've got to do a presentation. So then they've got to put themselves out there.
Ooh,
and then the best go through to a second presentation. So you're kind of then developing those skills. And our 9s are doing a virtual work experience. So they're learning about different jobs and different chances. What would they enjoy? What wouldn't they enjoy? And the third, we've got our year 10s going off to Harriet Watt to spend the time at the university. So again, it's giving them the opportunity to apply those skills and have those opportunities that they're not going to get unless you create them for them.
Joining us in the studio, the Deputy Head of the whole school at RGS, Nicholas Radbourne. In here, we're going to be talking a little bit more about, is there a student story that stood out to him over the years, discovering strengths that they maybe didn't know they had? And, for parents who are thinking, my kid would never volunteer for an expedition or a leadership role, how can you encourage students to step out of their comfort zone a bit more? 4001, is there been a trip or an experience that's helped shape you? We'd love to hear it.
Dubai Eye 103.8 traffic.
Sponsored by Yas Island Abu Dhabi. Isn't there a place that keeps kids thrilled? The answer is Yas. Book your Kids Go free package now at yasisland.com.
16 minutes past 3, Zina Zalmay in the studio. How are our roads looking?
Hey Helen, it's still pretty busy around the school zones. Hessa Street, the D61, looking very busy in both directions. And if you're heading towards Sharjah, the E311, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Road, looking very slow moving at the moment. The D83 Al Rabat, there's back-to-back accidents there. Heading east as you approach the E311. Just before City Centre Murdif, so avoid that stretch if you can. And if you see anything else, SMS us 4001.
Thank you, Zina.
This is Dubai Eye 103.8.
17 minutes past 3, just a little reminder, on a Thursday, our first hour podcast is, of course, Afternoons with Helen Farmer. And then, of course, everything is Eye on Education, so you can just search for that if you want to catch up on the podcast.
More coming up next on Dubai Eye 103.8.
With you through until 4 o'clock today. Just a little reminder, we've got some very exciting news here at Dubai Eye 103.8. We are rediscovering the UAE. So actually, us and all of the channels as part of the ARN network are sending 2,000 listeners on staycations across the country. So celebrating the world-class hospitality industry and outstanding service that we know and love and has probably spoilt us for every holiday we ever have in the future. And we're going everywhere. Desert retreats, city escapes, beach resorts, island hideaways I've heard whispers about as well. So we're just encouraging everyone to get out and explore and enjoy what is on offer across the nation. So keep listening for your chance to win an unforgettable stay. Get your bags packed, get your car loaded. Get your road snacks ready. We'll take care of the entertainment, of course. And rediscovering the UAE is powered by Aura Loyalty Programme. Keep it here to win.
This is Eye on Education on Dubai Eye 103.8.
Sponsored by Horizon English School Town Square, a new British curriculum school opening in August 2027. Built on over 35 years of educational excellence, where children are inspired to grow with confidence, curiosity and happiness.
We've been talking about that there's probably a lot of lessons that we forgot at school, but there will be experiences that we will never forget. Maybe it was a school trip or a challenging project, work experience, even a conversation that, encourage you to step up. The world of work is changing at lightning speed. There's no getting away from that. So schools are under pressure to develop adaptable young people who can think critically, communicate well, navigate uncertainty. Nicholas Radbourne with us today, the deputy head of the whole school at RGS, and we're talking about experiential learning and how it helps people build life skills before they leave school. Now, leadership is something that I think is a really interesting one because it shows up in different ways. Obviously in business, but in families and in schools, as we're talking about. When we think about leadership opportunities, how do you make sure that they feel inclusive and it's not just the loudest kid in the room that's taking over, Nicholas?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. It's very difficult, isn't it, to make sure everybody gets that chance. I think what we try and do is create as many different leadership opportunities as possible that cater for a range of different, experiences for the children. So it might be that child who will become the head boy, but it might be that child actually who's really into well-being and actually it's a friendship ambassador and that they're really good at that. Or they might be into the eco and they want to be one of our eco ambassadors. But you kind of put things out there that will apply to another child who really enjoys reading. So actually they're going to be are supporting that area or whatever. They might be. We've got children who love going down the street to our FS children, and that's something. They're our kind of reading leaders, and they go down and do
adorable.
that. It's beautiful to watch as well. It's lovely,
and it must be amazing for their confidence as well to kind of be recognised as, because of course in schools that have a head boy and a head girl, they are going to be the celebrities on campus. Those are the two big roles. But to understand that there could be a well-being lead, a digital lead, inclusion, even one of the most prized roles at our girls' school is about helping in the library, helping children pick books and understanding that being a leader isn't about being noisy. It's about being a role model, and that can show up in sometimes quiet ways as well. I want to come back to work experience because mine was very formal. I was loads of bookshops and newspapers, and funnily enough, it was the newspaper that informed what I do now. But a lot of teenagers don't really have a clear idea of what they want to do after school, and that's fine. I think there's dangers about being blinkered very early on. But how do you think work experience, internships, be it virtual or real world, help them make informed decisions about what's for them or what's not for them?
I think they're crucial. There's a different environment here. I know in England it's very easy to set up, but actually it is changing. The landscape is changing, and there are more opportunities for the children to do work experience. So it's how we give them that opportunity. Even as I was saying, our Year 9s are doing a virtual work experience, so they're doing things around that. We also we've got a societies program at school where the children, we've got, for instance, last week I went to our science, it's called the Colebrook Society. So there's 5 girls who kind of put themselves out there to be leaders because they're really into science. They lead this whole program. They set up they did a quiz actually last week just for fun. They got loads of the children into our societies area and they led a quiz, and there were prizes for the different houses because we had different house leaders in there as well. But these 5 girls really showed their experience. They love science, so they're getting the opportunity to actually experience that side of it. So actually they're going, well, actually, where are those job opportunities for me in science? So it's getting them interested in, and then going, well, actually, there are these things you can do. But then it's bringing other people in. So then we're bringing experts in to have a conversation with them and go, well, actually, you could go into medicine, you could go into this, you could go into that. But I think it's those opportunities.
And drawing that line between a passion or an interest in a subject and how does that translate to the real world? Because I think, when I grew up with parents who were salaried, my mum was in marketing, my dad's a quantity surveyor, and the idea of having your own business was very just unimaginable to me. But then, of course, here in the UA, we've got really entrepreneurial families who will be having those conversations around the dinner table. And maybe you've got a child who's got an amazing musical or creative talent, but they've never met an actor or a musician, and it's not, their brain hasn't been, exposed to the reality of what that could be.
Yeah, there's a couple of things there actually. We do some work with Dubai Opera, and the children going down there and experiencing the opportunity to stand there and perform.
Wow.
It just gives them, it's great to watch them do it with the confidence that gives them standing on that stage and in that beautiful environment to actually get the chance to do that.
And also
I think it's
art
really
as well.
important.
I know you've done work with the arts nights as well in showcasing. I think a lot of it is just about pride as well, about going, here I am on this stage,
Yeah.
or here I am having a grown-up conversation with someone who can tell me about what they do and how they do it.
And actually on that one, last year, we haven't had the chance to do it this year, sadly, because of everything that happened. But last year, we asked our parents, could you come in and do a presentation?
On what you do.
No, we had 40 parents who did individual presentations, and the children went round to each. They chose which one they wanted to go to.
How
so they got the
interesting.
chance. So that was a kind of mini kind of work experience because they got to hear. They got to hear about a pilot or somebody who was running there, and.
Who was the most popular? Who were people gravitating towards to learn about it?
To be honest, it was really random, and it wasn't what you expected. It wasn't the footballer or things like that. It wasn't like that. It was kind of they were really interested in different things. I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know you could have the opportunity to go. Actually have that's a job.
It is
and it's that
fascinating.
sort of thing. I think.
I remember going to my mum's office when I was a kid, and it was the most exciting thing. I mean, admittedly, she was in a building that had it was a Tudor building on Newcastle Quayside, and it had all these tunnels and like secret doors and wonky stairs and things. But that was exciting. But there was something about being in a workplace and seeing the nuts and bolts and seeing where you have your lunch and what time you leave and trying to figure out a little bit of the hierarchy and those roles that bring it to life. And I'm sure every single school will have parents that do a huge range of jobs, and that's where that kind of parental community comes in to say, I just want to open your eyes and answer any questions, and I'll tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly, and just bring it to life, I suppose. And lastly, Nicholas, if a student leaves school with a quality or a mindset that would serve them for life outside of what A-level results they get, what would you want it to be and why? Kind of based on your own. Obviously work as an educator, but also just, going through life yourself. What do you think is going to put them in good stead?
I think there's a little bit of that independence, that ability to be able to talk confidently about who you are and the things you've done. I mean, that's why giving them those opportunities to go on trips, as you talked about, learn to sail, learn to ski, whatever it happens to be, but having that confidence to actually go, actually, I've done all these things and I can talk about them. Having that confidence to do that, but you've got to give them the opportunities to be. It's not just the academics are great, but it's that holistic bit that's so important to make you that person that people want to hear about and want to talk to, because actually that confidence for them to actually talk to you very clearly and look you in the eye and say, hello, I went to RGS and this is what I did while I was there. That's what I want to see from the pupils coming out of the school.
I like that. Thank you so much for your time today.
Absolute
and all
pleasure.
the very best for the last few weeks. As we said, we've got
you very much.
tests, we've got productions, we've got jump up days and transitions going on. So to all the parents and the teachers, we know it's a lot. I know everyone's phone is pinging like crazy right now. The end is in sight, and we might look back and go, God, it was easy when they were in school. So enjoy it.
Thank you so much.
Absolute pleasure. Nicholas with us today. Nicholas Radbourne, Deputy Head of RGS. It is 3:30. We're going to be talking, actually, interestingly enough. We're talking about the hidden curriculum, kindness and empathy, and about communication as well. Nick Hart is going to be in the studio after the headlines.
Dubai Chambers has